Dija Henry, and you're watching the Inspired Cafe. And today we have a special guest from Kindred Cinema, Kristen, and I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we're going to get started.
Well, I'm Kristen Oxiger from Kindred Cinema. What do you want me to say?
Oh, I want you to just tell us what you do at Kindred.
All right, well, I create heartfelt brand films for Kindred Creatives. I am so passionate about the story behind people's brands, why they do what they do. So the films I create are not just these promos that are cold and mechanical. They're really warm, and they show the heart of the person who started the brand and why they did it. That's my jam.
That's your jam. I love that. I watched a couple of your videos, and they actually kind of made me tearful because they're so beautiful, and I just really loved how you captured the essence of the girl who shaved her hair. That was one of the ones I watched, and yeah, can you talk more about why you started it, or like what was the catalyst for starting Kindred?
Oh, sure. I love this story. I will try to keep it condensed for you.
Oh, it's okay.
So when I graduated high school, I was not quite sure what I was going to do. And I decided that I wanted to work at a summer camp that I attended as a teenager. And so as soon as I graduated high school, it was basically just within, I don't know, a week. I had never been away from home to live and to work before then. And I just packed up all my stuff and I moved into this camp to get started working as a videographer. So at the camp, it was a Christian summer camp. We were in the mountains. It was really small compared to a lot of Christian camps, but I was in charge of doing all the videos, highlight reels from the week for the kids to take home with them. So they would all get DVDs at the end of the week. And oh my Lanta. So 2 videos a week for like 12 weeks straight, and burning 400 DVDs every Thursday night all by myself until I was done and I could go to sleep at like 3 in the morning, and it was insane, crazy. And I knew in my heart that I really wanted to counsel because I don't know, just since I was a teenager, I wanted to be a counselor. So the second year, I decided to apply again, and I asked to be a counselor, and I was accepted, and I was so excited. And I got to camp, and within the first week, it was kind of like, at this camp, you had to do a week of volunteering to kind of like get the camp back into shape because winter, the snow brings all the twigs down into camp, so you need to clean it out for kids. And so during that week of volunteering, my boss pulled me aside and he said, "Kristen, unfortunately, we didn't find a videographer in time, and I need you to step out of your role as a counselor." And it really broke my heart. I had bought hundreds of stationery items so that I could send letters to my girls when they went home. And I had been so prepared, so praying about it. And it was just really, really tough because it was not what I anticipated. I love film. Like I went to college for film. That wasn't a big deal. But it was my heart to counsel was very grieved, and it was a really tough process. And I think, I want to say it was the last few weeks of camp when a church leader who had met me last year, the year before, when I was a videographer, he came up to me and he noticed that I was feeling down. And he's like, "Hey, like, I remember you from last year. You were doing video then too. Can I talk to you? Like, what's going on?" And through that conversation, he was able to kind of affirm and uplift and encourage me that, you know, I was taken out of a counseling position, but that didn't mean my counselor's heart was taken away. And he kind of just reminded me, like, this is why you can do film in a different way. Like, film videos, they don't have to just be merely entertainment that a kid takes home. Like, because of your counselor's heart, you see the camp in a different way. You can put that meaning into it that may not be there with other people. And so he really inspired me to kind of invest that counselor's heart into what I was creating. So films, not just for entertainment, but to lead the heart on a journey and like really remember the points that were supposed to be remembered about those kids' time at camp. And I think it was the last week of camp when because I mean, as working at camp, you're always in a the camp schedule routine. So it's like wherever the kids are, that's where you are. And so I was in the sermon, the chapel, doing my thing, filming and stuff. And there was a time when we were asked to go outside. Like, there's fire pits, there's pieces of paper, and there's pins. And if you have a dream put on your heart by God, write it and promise it to him and put it in the fire, just like between you and him, whatever that might be. And so I'm standing in front of this fire and I'm like, well, what the heck? What am I gonna do? What I had been praying like for a purpose for like a year since I went to college, and I was still confused what I was gonna be, what I was gonna do. And it was like at that moment in front of that fire pit, it was instantaneous, just like video ministry. And I was like, what does that even mean? That's not a word. Like, I've never heard that word before. Don't know where it came from. And I'm just like, okay. So I wrote it down and I threw it in. And over the next few years, that's really how it kind of got its start. It was just a calling to pursue film, and with the knowledge that it would be my ministry, no matter how it would work out or whatever. But yeah, so that's the beginning, if that answers your question.
That is awesome answer. Oh my gosh, I'm getting feedback. Do you have headphones?
Do I have headphones? I will go look for some. I can be right back. Is that okay?
Are you here? Oh, I'm here. Do you hear feedback?
I don't hear feedback, but my computer is making a fan noise. Is that it?
Because I'm hearing like an echo whenever. Oh wait, no, I'm not hearing it anymore. That's weird. Okay, that was a great answer. Thank you for sharing that story.
No problem.
That was just, okay, that really touched my heart. I studied acting in college, and that idea that God really called you, I mean, he really called you. It was like you had one thought, but he found a way to bring all of you together, like all parts of you together into something. And that's something that only God can do, because he knows you so well. He knows the gifts and talents that he has put inside of us. And he knows what I was just studying Ephesians 2:10, that said that we're God's handiwork and that he has created good works for us in advance. And I love that scripture. It's just, I've been meditating on it for a couple of weeks now, and just the idea that he's custom made us and custom made our work for us. And it's just so beautiful. And I really appreciate you sharing that story so much.
Thank you for that verse. Ah, yes.
Yeah, you're welcome. I wanted to ask you, in those couple of years between the fire and then Kindred Cinema, can you kind of go back and talk to us about maybe how you felt during that time? Because maybe there was ups and downs, like, oh, okay, I'm sure about this, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Oh, my Lanta. Okay. So is still a journey, like, in itself. There are definitely days where I'm like, am I insane? Am I crazy? Was I just hearing things? Like, was this really a call, or was this kind of like my selfish desire? Like, oh, hey, like, pursue film, you know? Like, sometimes I waffle, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I started out Kindred Cinema actually under a different name. So for 3 years, I started in 2011. That was the year that I felt called to do it. I started a small business called Golden Hope Studios. And it was a little bit of a different premise, because I was really struggling, like, what does filmmaking ministry mean? And so my thought was, okay, every film I have to make has to be a Christian film. And I was like, okay, so how do I support myself with this? What am I going to do? Who am I going to film? And I really didn't see any kind of like ideas that were fruitful out there. I didn't really know how to get started. I was still in college, so I had full-time college to worry about, and I had jobs trying to pay for college, and then I had Golden Hope Studios on the side. And so it was then that I don't know where I got this idea, but somehow I thought to myself, I will never be able to support myself with film. Like, it's not.
Aww.
So instead, yeah, it was weird. And I was like, so instead, like, who would buy a film? That was my mentality. Like, who is going to buy a video? It just didn't make any sense. And I thought in my mind, okay, well, I need to support myself so that I can fund my own films. And so I was like, photography, people buy that. So I'm like, okay, perfect. So I started doing family portraits. I was doing senior portraits at the college. I was doing some portraits, stuff like that. And it was fun. Like, I enjoyed it and I was good at it, but it was like not my heart. And so it quickly became like a resentful thing. Like, it wasn't working. Like, people at the college, like college students, they want free food. They don't want to pay for photographing their senior portraits and stuff like that. So it was wrong target audience, doing the wrong thing. That's not what God had called me to do. Struggling to figure out what the heck does filmmaking ministry mean? And it was really hard. And so I struggled a lot up until this year when I rebranded and realized, okay, like, film, like, that is what he said, go do it. And I have been doing that since Golden Hope Studios. I was just doing it in the capacity of, I'm doing this not to support myself. I'm doing this out of the spare time that I have when I have spare time. Fortunately, though, this is a godsend. I have a dear friend, her name is Linda, and she is the person I worked with in brandstory. I don't know if you saw that video. And she actually found me online, and she didn't know me, and she lived a mile away from my college, which was insane. And she was just like, hey, like, I have this dream to create documentaries, and this is one that I want to make. Are you interested? Like, I'll pay you, like, I'll work with you, and we can do it together. And that, I think, that's probably been one of the most life-changing things, because when I was taking myself out of the dream, when I was saying, okay, it's not possible, I need to focus on what I think is possible, she was kind of, I feel like she might have been God's instrument to kind of call me back, like, no, this is possible. And she has been like the most wonderful woman to work with and most wonderful partner. And I'm just so thankful, because this road literally is a roller coaster. But God has been putting people around me that support me on every side. And he's really, even though sometimes it doesn't make sense in the moment, looking back, all the dots are connected. So it's just kind of like a hindsight thing. And then sometimes when you get used to what those dots look like, you can see them show up. And you're like, oh no, I think he's doing something here, you know? So
that's a really good point, to be aware of what you said, what the dots look like.
Yeah.
And that way, and that it can like catalyze your faith a little bit when you're starting to feel that discouragement happen. Yeah. So that's beautiful. So is this the first year you've done this full time now?
Yes. So I had a full-time job. I worked tons of part-time jobs. I worked like 3 part-time jobs at once when I was in college and all that crazy stuff.
Me too. I did that too.
It's hard. It's hard. And then I had a full-time job last year. And the reason I took that job, I'm not sure how long this interview is supposed to go. So you tell me if I'm going
It's okay. No. We've talked like an hour before with people.
Oh, sweet. Oh, sweet. Okay. So let me give you a little bit of backstory. Last summer, is it last summer now? Or yeah. Okay. It's still within the year. So last summer, 2014, I was working for my alma mater in their marketing department. I was doing their photography and their videos for the college. And I was also teaching kids film at a summer camp, a traveling summer camp throughout California. And I loved both of those jobs. I was going to stay with my alma mater continuing on through the year. But I had just graduated in May. And so this is probably July, beginning of August when this happens. I get a phone call, or no, was it a phone call? I'm not sure if it was a phone call. I think I actually went in and they just pulled me aside. And my alma mater told me that they couldn't afford to keep me on. And we had already talked about what my salary was going to be and everything. And to kind of hear that, like, I had just signed a lease to my apartment. And I was like, I am locked into that lease for a year. And now you're saying, like, you're cutting me because of budget cuts and all that fun stuff. And I was like, holy crap, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with this information? And I went into full panic mode. And so I went on Craigslist, Monster.com, Indeed.com, trying to find jobs because I was still under the impression, I'm still in Golden Hope Studios name at this time. Last year, I was almost done with brandstory. And so that, to me, that wasn't something I was going to do full-time yet. I was still thinking, okay, part-time, part-time. So I was looking for a full-time job or a part-time job so that I could continue doing Golden Hope on the side. So I just dived into the job search, and everything that I was searching for, I was coming up short. I couldn't find anything with any relation to film or photography. Everything that I applied for, I did not get hired. And I'm usually really good at like interviews and acing them and stuff like that. So it was just kind of like shut door, shut door, shut door. And that spiraled me into even bigger panic. And I was like, okay, well, I think then I need to take anything that I can get, not even relating to like my giftings and stuff. And so I called my mom, because when anyone's in crisis, they should call their mom.
Right.
Sometimes. And then I called her and I'm like, Mom, like, I got let go and I'm looking for jobs and I can't find anything. And she told me, I will never forget this. She told me, Kristen, like, I think you need to calm down. You have enough in your savings to take 2 months to think about what you're going to do and really find a job that fits for you. This is the key. My mom is really logical and she wants me to be safe and secure. And she always recommends the secure route. So that she recommended that was out of character. That was not my mom's norm. But I took on her character, which is not my norm. And I was like, are you crazy? I need to be safe. And it was like, I decided I'm not listening to you. Goodbye, Mom. Thanks. And it was like, oh, man, if I would have noticed that I did that, that would have saved me so much trouble. But I signed up quickly for a job that one of my friends recommended or something. And it was not in my giftings, not in my skill set, and I was locked in for a year with my student loans on the line because it would put them into forbearance, and I was promised a scholarship if I completed, and it looked great on the outside, and once I got in, it was a terrible, terrible year. I was not serving out of my gifts. I was serving in direct opposition to them. I was completely opposite. So for me, I am not a math girl, not a numbers girl, and I was being used as an accountant. Yeah. And like, I couldn't do it. It was poisoning my heart. Like, it was not working. I could not work to the standards that they wanted me to. And I was kind of looked down upon as if I was not very smart. And I'm like, I am wise. I'm intelligent in all these areas, but the area you have me in, I'm not. And I'm not supposed to be here, so help me. But I didn't get help, and I didn't get support during that time. And that kind of was the catalyst. I was talking with one of my friends. It was pretty soon after I started that job. So within the first month, I knew this is not my thing. And now I am sucked in for 10 more months, you know? And so I was talking with one of my friends, and she's like, well, Kristen, like, I just think, like, you should know, like, I really believe in what you do. I believe in your heart for photography and film. And I want to know, why aren't you doing that? And this is my logical friend too. And I was like, are you crazy? And it was so weird that she would say something like that. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, I just think, like, if you wanted to pursue it full time, I think you could do it. And I was like, no, I can't. Like, I literally told her, like, no, I really can't do that. And I sat there with my thoughts for like 10 minutes before I realized, like, the only thing in my way was me. And I was the one saying, no, I can't. She was saying, yes, I can. My mom was saying, yes, I can. You know, and I was saying, oh no, I can't do this. And it was kind of like that point. It was actually September. I just had started my job in September. And I was just like, wait, yes, I can. Who says I can't? Like, if I'm the only person saying that, then why am I saying that? Like, I can change the pace here. And so my resolution in September was, by the next September, when I am out of contract for that job, I am not taking another position. I'm going to give it the full effort to jump into full-time entrepreneurship and really pursue what God has put on my heart. Because if I don't try, I'm never going to know. You know, if he's called me to do this, he's going to make a way. And if he didn't, this will show me that he didn't, and it will just, that'll be okay. Like, that would be hard, but like that would at least tell me I'm not where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, that's how I decided to make the leap. And then that happened. I ended contract in August, and I got started working on stuff, getting stuff out, working on some brand story films. Because I've done, oh my gosh, I've done hundreds of videos in college, but since my rebrand in April, I have switched directions on what I want to film. So now I need to repopulate my stuff with samples of what I want to offer now. So it's like, I have all these things to show. Great, awesome, but it's not exactly what I want to be doing yet. So I'm just in that process of building that portfolio. Releasing some in the next few months. So excited. One next week. That's exciting.
Yay! So where did Kindred the name Kindred Cinema? And by the way, let me go back. That was a great story. I like how you're telling us stories to illustrate the answers. That's really awesome, because I'm like imagining in my head all of the scenes of going into work and just being like downtrodden and like calling your mom and the conversation with your friend, and it's like I'm seeing it all in my head. So I learned through story. I think all of us learn through story, but I really appreciate that. So where did the name Kindred Cinema come from?
Awesome. Glad you asked. It's a story. Just I love stories too. Stories are my thing. I learn through them. I love telling them. It's just my favorite. So Kindred Cinema. So in, I almost said August, in April, I don't know if you've heard of the brand Hey Sweet Pea, but they're amazing. And they have online classes.
I'm going to write that down.
Yes, please do.
Hey.
Guys, Hey Sweet Pea has changed my life so much. I'm such a big fan of
them. .com? Or?
Hey Sweet Pea, yes. Or you can search them on Facebook. They're on Facebook, Instagram, and then I think that will take you to their website. So.
Okay. Thank you.
But they offer small classes for creative entrepreneurs, like social media classes, really affordable, really great options. And they also offer a bigger investment class, and it's called My Own Irresistible Brand. And it teaches you really how to brand yourself. And they open it once a year, or maybe like twice a year. They just closed enrollment this year. But in April, they opened their branding school. And I was debating, I was all over the place, like, can I afford this? What if can I make rent and afford this? Because the job I was in was a stipend position. So I was making less than minimum wage. And I was like, can I really afford this? But everything kind of led me to, this is what you need to do. So in April, I started that class. And oh my gosh, oh my goodness, it has completely changed the way I see my giftings, and it's completely changed the foundation of my business, and it's amazing. And I believe that was a dot, like I was supposed to be there. And during that class, we go through so much stuff. We go through who we are as people, what we want to do, what our giftings are, what we are not gifted at, and all this fun stuff. And part of the journey is to kind of evaluate your name after you kind of go through a lot of the foundation. Like, is your name working for you? Is it not working for you? Do you think you should get a new name? And I was at that point, and a lot of people were posting in the group. We have Facebook groups. If you're in a class with them, you get invited to a Facebook group and you're in there for life. Super awesome. That's one of the best parts about it, the community. I cannot speak more highly about those girls that I have come to love and be friends with. And so I was noticing them posting, because we post about our progress in the class, and they were all posting about name changing. And I was like, no. Golden Hope Studios, like that was my name that was put on my heart. Like, after I got, I don't know, like felt called by God to do this. And I was like, wait. No one said anything about like being required to change my name. And I was like, I can't do that. No. So panicking. I'm not even to that section in the class yet. And I'm just like panicking beforehand. So I keep going through the class, still not there yet. And eventually, like, as I'm waiting to get to that spot, I'm feeling like more comfortable, and I'm thinking about my name, and I'm like, okay, Golden Hope Studios, what does that mean to me? You know, and for me, it was like just this hope like we have in our souls, you know, and I just wanted to be a light, and I wanted it to be an encouraging feeling. But I decided, okay, I need to ask my dream clients, what do you think of this name? And so I sent it out to people. And the feedback I got was so disheartening, not because they hated it, because they didn't, but it was just not what I stood for. A lot of people said, oh, this reminds me of JCPenney portraits, which I hate. And they would say, oh my gosh, the way that you say it, Golden Hope, makes me think you're gonna do this for free, because like it sounds like it's a charity thing. And I'm like, well, it's not for free. And some people said it makes me feel like I can take advantage of you and ask you for discounts. And the things that they were bringing up really were hard, because I was like, oh, like I want people to value my name because they understand what I stand for. And it was just super confusing. And they were like, I don't even know what you do. Do you do photography or film or art or something? Because you just say studios, and I don't get it. And so I think it was at that point when I'm like, I think my name does need to change. And so I went through that whole process with Hey Sweet Pea, and it was really awesome. And I came up with 2 names, and I had Kindred Cinema, and I had another name. And the other name I loved. It was my favorite. And I was like, everyone's going to love this one. And I put it in the group, and I was like, hey guys, take a vote and then tell me why you like it. And not a single person picked the one that was my favorite. They all picked Kindred Cinema. And I was like, what? Are you insane? It was still that weird, are you crazy? But it was like me being crazy. And when I asked them what they thought it stood for, it was exactly what I was going for, you know? And so I'm like, okay, this is the right one. I chose Kindred Cinema because I am all about loving people. I love to love on people. I love to serve people. And I love that phrase, kindred hearts. Like I want to be everyone's BFF. And I just want people to understand when you are working with me, I'm not just this cold, calculating videographer that's there to get shots and make it super corporate, make it super hard. You know, like I want to know the heart of your brand, and I want to create and foster a relationship with you. Because if I don't have a relationship with you, I'm not going to get that heart in your video. Like I want that heart, and to get that heart, it needs to be about loving you as a person and getting to know you and getting to know your passions and your fears and your hopes. And I just want Kindred Cinema to communicate. I make films that are heartfelt. I want to create community with you. You know, that's kind of where that came from. Throughout that class with Hey Sweet Pea, I realized that photography was never my baby. And it was time to kind of step back from something that was not giving me the time to pursue what my dream really was. And so that's where cinema came from, because it took me back to my roots of, no, you are called to film. This is what you're going to do. This is what you're made for. Go back to that and see where that can take you. And then that kindred spirit feeling is what I really wanted to achieve.
That's beautiful. And that's such a good lesson too about asking your audience, asking your target and your ideal client what resonates with them. I was very connected when I saw your name.
Yeah.
That drew me to you, like exactly what you said, because, okay, have you heard of Anne of Green Gables?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember her friend that she found that was her kindred spirit? Like, there's a story, that stood out to me. There's a girl that Anne found, and they became friends, and that was her. And immediately she's like, "You're my kindred spirit." And like, I was a little girl, and it hit me so hard. Like, I want a kindred spirit friend. Like, I want a friend like that. Yeah. And so, and that's my story. Like the fact that they were so connected. And you meet people in your life, you just connect with them. You're like on that same wavelength. you just get them and they get you. And when I saw that, I was like, and then I love movies and I want to, you know, I'm an actor and I just made my first film, and that's why I was in LA, because it showed at a festival. And like those two words together, I was like, oh snap, I gotta talk to her. And then I saw your stuff, and I mean, it's just that I have that heart too, that no corporate, like cold, just being able to like, I don't know, this is gonna sound weird, but like reach in and pull people's light out and then show it to the rest of the world.
Girl. That, yes.
That's what I saw in your video.
Oh, yes.
So the story, I mean, I'm just getting chills. Like, thank you so much for sharing your journey, and especially with how God spoke to you through people and through circumstances, and that it, like, you made some choices that we could call mistakes, but I remember Romans 8:28, that all things work together for good for them that love the Lord and called according to his purpose. And it's still like that still served a purpose, and it just ministered to me too, because I just spent 2 weeks rebranding my whole like life into a new website,
which was beautiful. Just
you saw it. Thank you.
Love it. Yes.
It was so hard too, because I had that name that inspired everything. Like when I first got that vision from the Lord in 2009, and I was like, I'm supposed to let go of Inspired Cafe, like as a blog. So I'm kind of using it as a platform to do interviews, because that was the whole idea in the first place, was sitting with a friend, drinking coffee. Like that's my favorite thing in the whole world. Is I worked at coffee shops in college, and just being able to sit down and connect with people. And I always was afraid to like do this type of thing, just to do interviews, and Google Hangout scared the crap out of me. And you know, and I was like, I'm just doing it and it's okay. And like no one's gotten upset because we couldn't figure out the technology. We both today we just worked on it, so we got it. And you know, and everyone, no one said no, don't talk to me. And so I was like, why was I afraid? Like what? And so that just really ministers to me, what you're saying. And for me, I was running away from my name. Like I didn't want to brand anything under my name. Like people were telling me, they were encouraging me to do that. Yeah. And I was like, on the opposite side, like I'm not a brand. I don't like my name. That's weird. And it doesn't matter whether it's your name or another business name. It's being obedient to what you're supposed to do. So I'm 2 weeks into this. Well, I just released the website yesterday, and I've lost so much sleep. I don't know what day it is, but I'm still kind of in freak out mode. Like, is this gonna work? And how am I gonna show this actor part of me, and this also, like you said, you're a counselor and a filmmaker, and I'm this actor who has a heart for people who are trying to pursue their passion and their dream, and for people to know who they are and in Christ, and all the things that you're telling me, just your journey, like that is so inspiring. And that's when I light up with what you just sharing with me, and that the fact that you're doing it, that's just so, like, it blows my mind, because the divine has reached into the finite and spoke into his creation and allowed them to transcend their own fear. That's just huge to me, and it just makes me really excited. So I'm just doing that, like just walking on faith, and I really appreciate you sharing that. I wanted to ask you, what was I gonna say? Oh, I wanted to, you had said, I should have wrote it down. Talking about Sweet Pea. Okay, maybe it'll come to me later. I did want to ask you about how people can stay up with you to find out about Ron's story, the documentary.
Okay. How people can find that?
Yeah. Is it out already, or do we have to like follow you on Instagram to find out?
It's finished. It's on vimeo.com/Kindred Cinema. I finished that last November. Okay. That was what me and Linda worked on. And you should see it. It's the first one that I put up on my screen so you can watch it. That is a story about this elderly man in Costa Mesa, California, and he is known as the grandfather to his whole community, to his whole neighborhood. He loves walking his dog every day down in.
I did watch it. I watched that.
Yes.
It was so good.
Yeah, thank you. He's just an amazing, amazing person. It's basically his story of how he came to know Christ through a tough cancer diagnosis. And so it was a really wonderful project to work on. We spent 2 years working on it just because college and working on stuff is really hard and time is just really difficult to line up. But it was amazing. And yesterday, okay, do you have the app called Time Hop? Do you know what that is?
No.
Time Hop is really fun. It's like this little app on your phone you can get, and it'll take you through the years of what you posted on social media. So today it would say 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So yesterday was actually 1 year ago yesterday is when we got to show Ron his film. And it popped up and it showed me the little picture that I posted about it. And so I'm just like, oh, Ron, he's amazing. He's an amazing man. You feel like family when you meet him. He's a great guy. So yes, if you heard of Vimeo, it's like YouTube, Vimeo, Vimeo.com/Kindred Cinema, and that's where you can find it.
Cool. And how can people find you? I mean, I know, but I want you to tell everyone how they can find out more about what you do.
Yeah, okay. So I have a website called kindredcinema.com. You can find me on Instagram. That is by far my favorite place to hang out. So I'm Instagram/Kindred Cinema. And then I'm also on Twitter @Kindred Cinema. I haven't been on Twitter as often lately. Instagram is like my first love right now, really pouring into that. But yeah, if you find me on Insta or Twitter, you can send me an email. I love getting emails from everyone. It's so much fun to start. That's how me and Dija met. We got to talk through emails. Yeah. It was amazing. And I also have some video tips for your Instagram. So if you want those, you guys can go to my website, kindredcinema.com, and sign up for my weekly love letters. And then I will send you that copy of that cheat sheet so that you can start blowing up Insta with some awesome videos. Awesome. But yeah, those are my 3 main places.
Cool, thank you. And I'll also put them in the description box as well. Okay, I really enjoyed this conversation. I think I could just keep talking. My heart is so full with joy of hearing your story, and it's just really encouraging that I think people who listen to this, and I hope that you guys just don't get discouraged, even when it seems discouraging, to keep looking for the dots, like Kristen was saying, to start being aware that, you know, each between the dots is important, each dot's important, and then to keep staying the course. And I feel really inspired to go back and like really do some thinking to make sure that, you know, I've heard, you know, I'm still focusing on what I heard what my call was. So this was really great. So thank you everyone for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can comment below, or you can even email me as well, dija@inspiredcafe.com, oh no, I rebranded. We got a new email, hello@dijahenry.com.
Yes.
So yes, this was great. So Kristen, I'm going to end the broadcast, but could you hold on for a little bit?
Sure.
Afterwards?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Thanks everyone. Bye.